So if your child is sitting here and they're showing signs of depression, like it's time to go and take like a look on like what can parents do to go and help with that situation, and how I feel about like the fact that there's one out of like four youth that will have like lifelong symptoms of these like mental disorders. Even though that it's very depressing, it's very realistic, and it like just proves a lot of stuff that like me personally I see.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sorry if y'all are just now hearing us. We were having a little bit of sound difficulty, but we're here now, so you should be able to hear us loud and clear. You didn't really miss much. We were just talking about how we feel knowing that the statistics are saying that 1 in every 4 to 5 youth will meet criteria for a lifetime mental disorder. And that is kind of where we were. And Shay, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, we look at suicide with our children and we think that sometimes, well, a lot of times our children that commit suicide are children that are less fortunate, you know. We think that the ones that commit suicide are the ones that are picked on. But you know what? It's really hard to determine because this soccer player, her name was Katie Myers. She went to Stanford, 22 years old. She killed herself. Did you guys hear that on the news?
I've heard that.
I'm looking at things that, the people have said about her. Her name is Katie Myers, that everybody's saying she was such full of life. She went to Stanford and she was a senior graduating this year. I'm like, it doesn't get we might think that it doesn't get any better than that. So it's like Morgan said, did it stem from home? Did it stem from pressure? Did it stem from a boyfriend? Did it stem from a girlfriend? You never know what caused this girl to commit suicide. And it's like, I always tell people, nobody never asks you if you're okay because you always present yourself as being a strong person.
Right.
But, it never hurt to just stop anyone and say, hey, look, sis, are you okay? Hey, bro, you doing good today? I mean, you always look, you have everything going, but are you okay? And that's what this girl had. No one would have even suspected that she would have committed suicide.
And like, can I go and branch out about?
Go ahead.
Okay. Things such as like asking, how are you? Yes, that's like a good start and stuff like that. But like, that's the thing, like with like just small talk, like, hey, how are you? Now, like with a lot of people when it comes to depression, especially like very severe depression, a lot of them, they don't have they don't feel as if their like reasons for being depressed are necessarily rational. They just feel like everything is like terrible. So like they'll go and like imagine being like, hey, how are you? And just like, oh, just I feel really upset. Just like, oh, what's going on? Like, how can I help? And all this other stuff. And they just stop and they're like, if you go and like complain and stuff like that, like for example, Katie Meyer's situation, it seemed as if she had everything together and stuff. Like, people go and look at her and just be like, well, you have this and you have that and you have everything going for you. Are you sure you're really sad? Maybe you should just sleep on it. Maybe you should do this about it. Like, maybe you should smile more. When none of that stuff works.
So what really works then?
When it comes to things such as like depression and just like telling people as if it could be a quick fix, it's not a quick fix. Right. Like when people go and you tell them like, oh, well, I'm depressed and all this other stuff, I would first of all recommend, yes, seek help. And even though you're seeking help, that help, it's going to be like hard for it to fully get to you. And some people even need medication.
Yeah. I think one of the places... Go ahead. I'm sorry, Morgan. Go ahead.
Just like saying like small things like that can be quick fixes for people. Like, oh, well, you should smile more. You should drink more water. Maybe you should do like this about it. Do this activity. Like, you used to like that. But in the eyes of somebody who's depressed, everything just seems not worth it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think one of the areas that we as parents and other people, aunties, grandparents, friends, sister friends. One of the things that we have to start doing is realizing that we cannot determine how you are, as our youth, how you feel. We can't diminish when you say that, hey, I'm struggling, or I'm depressed, or I'm not feeling, because we think in the past we've thought, you've got a roof over top of your head, you got food on your table, you got a bed, you have clothes, I take you shopping, I do this, I do that, I do the third. But you know what? We are living in a different time. We are living, and even now, our oldest is 30 years old. And back in the day, depression was different for them than it is now for, say your age group, Morgan, or, little Mishan, or even Kalia. They have their emotional moments as well. And I think we as parents and the adults around them have to be understanding and take the time. Don't just feel like I've got this that I'm doing, I got that I'm doing, especially like single parents. You're working two jobs and you're trying to navigate and, raise a whatever, but your children still need you. And listen to them and pay attention when they say that I'm just not myself, or a lot of times they're not going to say it. A lot of times they're not going to say it. We have to be investigative, just like if for our spouses or on our job with our coworkers. Listen, I can tell by the way he texts me something that is something going on with her. We have to be that same way with our children. That's just my thought.
And you know what? Before we get off of this, just to piggyback off of what both of you guys were saying, it just goes to show you that no matter how much somebody has, like a lot of these celebrities or famous people with tons of money, and they have the mansions, they have the cars, they have all of these things, they are the main people, who are committing suicide or who are depressed. And so, everybody's scars aren't visible. And so, like you said, being intentional about, checking on your people, not just if you know that somebody is usually bubbly and happy-go-lucky and you start to see, them kind of seeming more lax and dragging around, or even somebody who is always, sharp and their clothes are crisp and they're really kept and shaved, and then they start to just kind of like, look a little unkept and they have the 5 o'clock shadow. There's all kinds of signs, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But, just being more intentional and paying attention, because sometimes even if they don't say anything, there are physical changes, there are changes in their behavior. Yeah. There's a lot of signs that are out there and we just miss them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Well, let's talk about risk and protective factors. The presence or absence and various combinations of protective and risk factors contribute to the mental health of youth. Identifying protective and risk factors in youth may guide the prevention and the intervention strategies to pursue with them. Protective and risk factors may also influence the course mental health disorders might take if present. There's an extensive list of both, but here are just a few. We're just going to cover just a few. Some of the risk factors include difficult temperament, low self-esteem, anxiety, poor social skills, poor parenting. And I know that's a hot one right there, because parents don't want to hear that some of the weight, falls, on us. Let me see. Negative family environment, substance abuse among parents, poor academic achievement. Some protective factors would be high self-esteem, And see, you got to realize that it goes from one extreme to the other. One extreme to the other. Protective factors would be high self esteem, emotional self regulation, good coping skills, problem solving skills, engagement and connections in two or more of the following contexts: with school, with their peers, in athletics, employment, religion, culture, and then there's the family provides structure, limits, rules, monitoring, and predictability. So my question is, what role do you feel that you play in reference to your loved one? On how important do you feel like your role is?
Can I just say this, Jackie? The five things that you called out, I think it was school, the teachers, you said religion. What were those things that you called out? Because out of all of those that you called out, a lot of our teenagers, they have questions about everything. What was the first thing you called out?
School, with their
All right,
peers.
let's start with the school. The school system. What kind of school system does that child actually live in?
Yeah.
You have school systems where children, they have like elite schools. All right. But then again, they may feel pressure from that. But then again, you have those that live in rural areas and less fortunate. And, they still have the pressure of that as well. Not being able to get anything to eat when they get home, having to come to school with hand-me-down clothes. Are the teachers treating them good? Do the teachers even care? But you do have these elite schools to where you do have the teachers caring. You do have them wearing the best clothes. But, still again, you look at both sides here. You have the unfortunate, and then you have the fortunate. But then when you look at the peers on both sides, you have those that's dealing with gangs. You have those that's dealing with drugs all the time. You have those that's dealing with peer pressure to join a gang. You have those that have the teachers not caring anything about them, or even their friends just picking on them. They have to worry about coming to school being bullied. But then on the other side, the more fortunate, you have the peers that they have to live up to. You have the peers that they're faking it just to make sure no one picks on them. You have the peers to where, if I'm not part of the football team, then you know what, you're no one. If I'm not part of the cheerleading squad, then you are a nobody. So you have all of that. Now, there was something else you mentioned. Keep going, because I'm like,
before we run away from that though, but I want to insert that you also have the teens, and this is more in the elite schools, that because they're having their own self-esteem issues, then they project on the others. They project onto others around them. Say if there's somebody that's there on a scholarship or something of that nature, whatever. Not saying that they're full-fledged bullying, but they're picking and making them feel less than because of their own, and it has a lot to do with their own self-esteem issues. Yeah. And so we talked peers, athletics.
Athletics is another thing. Again, like I said, you have two different sides. In the less fortunate, they're more into football and they're more into basketball. Can you play or cannot you play? My thing is that I don't want to go to college, but I'm gonna go to college because I want to play basketball. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter whether if I get good grades. I'm going to play basketball so I can get out the ghetto. Football, the same thing, so they can get out the ghetto. It doesn't matter whether they have good grades, because a lot of the schools, they push them through so they can go to college, push them through college so they can get to the pros, so they can play in the pro. And they can't even add, I think there was somebody that graduated from high school and she can't even read. Yeah. So I'm like, they just push our kids through school. But when you have the athletics on the more elite schools, they're dealing with getting into not a college, but an elite college like Stanford, like Katie Myers got into. How much pressure was she under? These kids are under a lot of pressure. And then when we talk about religion, some people, a lot of our kids, they don't even like going to church. Why? Because, and I can say this about all of them. We have the Catholics, the Catholics in there about being molested, the little boys being molested in Catholic church. And then we have other churches to where they see the bickering and the hatred and everything that's going on in the churches. And they're like, where's my examples at? You know, where are the people that's supposed to be setting the examples? There's no one really setting a good example. And a lot of our children, they go by what they see.
Yes.
You know, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not the best Christian ever, and I will let my daughter know that I am not, but I am one that truly do love the Lord. And I do believe that there is a God and there is a Christ. I do believe that Christ died on the cross to save my little poor soul. I do believe that. And with Christ being in my heart, it helps me to love people more the way that I want to be loved. I like to give people that Christ-like love.
Yes.
And I feel that as long as I'm doing that in my heart, then it doesn't matter whether I'm going to church every day. It doesn't matter. It does matter if I pay my tithes, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter because I could pay my tithes by giving a bum on the street a bag of food. I mean, it does not necessarily, I'm not telling people not to pay tithes, but it does not necessarily have to be what they're telling you to be, because sometimes in churches, they tell you what you have to do instead of doing what's in your heart. So when you talk about religion, I mean, there's so many conflicting things that our children are dealing with.
Yes. Yes.
What was the other one? I'm like, I mean, everything you just chimed out, I'm like, just things just popped in my head.
Culture.
Oh, I'm gonna let Morgan take that one over. Go ahead, Morgan.
Oh, hi. Okay.
We'll talk about culture.
I'm talking about the two of the subjects that you just named because, first of all, in schools, like you said, see,
Sammy.
They always trying to silence me, honestly. Anyways,
barking.
Yeah. But when it comes to schools, the school system doesn't care about us. They don't. They just want their money and want us to graduate and leave. Literally, I'm sitting here. I went to so many schools, and I can go and tell you so many things wrong with each and every single one. Literally, the one that I paid for when I was like in private school and stuff. Well, Mom paid for it when like we were in private school.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. But yeah, even the one like they sat up here and like the students were so mean. I got bullied every single day, and this was a Catholic school. So you could go and label that as one of the elite schools because it was private and it got paid for. They made sure I ate every day. They went and took me on field trips. It was nice, but all that extracurricular stuff, either way, I still got bullied. I still got, like, you know, like, pushed around, like, all the other stuff. Because those kids push on insecurities, and then the teachers, they just look past it. Because in their minds, they're like, well, I'm not getting paid enough to go and be a psychologist. Look. And then my second school, that one was slightly better because even though it was a public school, and it would be considered as one of the elites because, like, you know, it's not, like, you know, paying for all this other stuff, it wasn't bad. You know, literally, I got into a little, like, fight with a guy, and they cracked down to that so fast. And you would think, because it's a public school and there's so much more kids, they wouldn't, like, you know, stop and be like, oh, wait, okay, so y'all just, this person got into a fight with another person. We need to go and, like, look at this, look at what's going on.
I call.
You know, like, and then the parents, like, they'll get involved. Okay? And then the school that I'm in, Solars and Overly, I'm not going to go in. Now that I'm currently there right now, so I can't talk about it as well.
Going in?
Look, no, I'll talk about, like, look, and then Solars, because Solars, I'm gonna go and say it, they don't, even though, yes, it is an elite school because it focuses on the magnet program, I went there for CNA. I'm speaking from personal experience, a white guy said the N-word, and then they called me in, and then they were just like, well, are you sure he said it? Like, we don't want to go and, like, go to drastic measures. I'm like, oh, so you don't want to go to drastic measures for somebody who clearly did something wrong, and you're going to go and put my comfortability at your school at stake.
Yeah.
That's really good to know, because this school is honestly surrounded, and, like, the zone, it's from white people.
And so clearly there is a lot clearly there's a lot, going on in all of these aspects. I mean, it's just listening to even half of the things, that you're saying and bringing to light is letting people know, for those that don't know, this is a huger problem than just, oh, I'm going to just turn my head the other way because it's not my child. So, oh, and why the child acting up like that? And why are they doing all these things? And poking their nose and turning their nose up at the parents and stuff like that. No, it's everybody's responsibility.
Yeah.
And we got some comments that I want to try to get a couple of them in. We have Miss Victoria says, yes, denial is one of them. Parents and or the person may not admit there's a problem. And then we have my little brother Richard made a comment, and he said, this is Richard. I'm really enjoying the show so far. I used to suffer from depression back in my late teens. I was at my lowest point to wanting to become suicidal, but God brought me through those very dark times. I got some counseling and a lot of support and prayers. And I just want to say thank you so much for your transparency because, so many people just hide those things and they're afraid to speak out and they're afraid to tell people, even now, as adults, we're afraid to tell people when we're going through things. And it's important because like Shay was saying earlier, we look at people and they seem to have all the things and they seem to be happy and, y'all would look at me right now and not know that I feel like inside my whole world is falling apart. But I mask it well. We all do. We go day to day and we wake up in the morning and we put our face on and we go out and we face the world, and we deal with the things. And then in our quiet space is where they come out, So, yeah. I think we had a couple other comments, but I couldn't see.
Yeah. Richard did say, never ever be ashamed or embarrassed to ask for and get the help that you need for any mental issues. I agree, Richard. A closed mouth does not get fed. If you don't ask, and let somebody know, and this is not just to the this is not just to the teens, but specifically I'm talking to teens right now, and our youth, our children, our youth, no matter what your age is. If you don't let somebody know that you're not okay, it's not always visual to us. So we need you to help us. Let us know I'm not okay. Let us know that, hey, I need somebody to talk to. There are so many people. And a lot of time I know the youth and teens, they don't want to talk to their parents because you feel like your parents just aren't going to understand. What Will Smith say, they just don't understand. You feel like your parents just won't understand. Listen, we all have aunties and uncles, whether they blood related or non-blood related, somebody that is close to you that you can trust. Reach out. It's okay. And believe you me when I say this wholeheartedly, we're not going to judge you. We want to help. We want to help. Miss Victoria had another comment. She says, yes, that's what is so important, to have a support group, someone to talk to. Yes, she did say that, it's important to have support groups for the parents, the teachers, and the students. And I know that, cost can be a factor. And that's why, a lot of times people don't, reach out for help or whatever. But, the help is there. Yes, Morgan, I see your hand up.
Okay, yes, I wanted to go and talk about how you're just like, well, you need to go and communicate with us. I'm going to go and speak for a lot of teens when I say this. If we believe that there was a support system or like somewhere safe that we can go to without any judgment, without fear of going to things such as like, yes, some people do need mental institutions, but then again, back to that quick fix thing, right? That's not going to do everything. Like, that could be a resort you go to, but that's not going to go and fix it all. So I'm going to go and say that, saying that, oh, well, you need to go and come to us and all this other stuff, it does make sense. Teens need to go and come to their parents. But the thing is, like, if teens felt as if they could come to, like, a certain support system or go to their parents, they would have. And the reason why they are not is because either the parent has shown signs because know that no matter what you do, your words impact your children. You need to go and watch everything you say and do because we remember everything, almost everything. Because the thing is, like, to you, it's just a casual Monday. To us, it's traumatic. And so we remember the stuff that you do and we remember the stuff that you say. So if we generally believe that, oh, well, I can go to my parents on this, make sure and look at, hey, have I made this a safe space to the point where my kid can go and be like, I can definitely go to my parent about this.
Yeah.
I can definitely talk to them without zero judgment. I can go to them without them saying things like, oh, well, you can smile more, drink more water. And I'm not sure what I should say right now because it is somewhat controversial. I'm not sure if I should say it.
Say it.
But the same
I was going
I'm going to go and say an example. For example, so when COVID started rising, and then a lot of Christian people were like, well, God's got me, so I'm just going to walk around without a mask.
Come on with this, sister.
I'm going to go walk around without a mask. And I'm just like, okay. God's got me. No, but the thing is, then parents will just be like, well, pray on it. We want to talk to you about our problems. A lot of teens, they have got down on their knees and prayed, and they have tried to consider and look into religion and stuff as a fix and everything because we don't want teens don't want to go and feel alone. So we will go to things such as social media, such as religion, all this other stuff. But the thing is, we are going to you to talk to you. We know a lot of the people that you're talking to, they are of Christian media, all this other stuff. So 9 times out of 10 they raise Christian children. So those children know to go to God. But then again, if they wanted to go and talk to God, they would have. And so they're talking to you. It's now your job to go and put in the it's your job to go and put in the work to support your child. You can't just say, well, pray about it. God's got you. Okay, and that's why there's things such as doctors, psychologists, and all this other stuff. God put these professions down here to help you.
Yes.
Again, for the people in the back, Morgan.
Yes.
God put these professions for people to help you. So you can't just sit up here and be, well, for example, somebody has cancer, God's got me.
No, go see an oncologist.
Well, right, we know, but then what? What else?
What else? You need medicine.
Yeah.
You need to talk to somebody. God puts people in your life for a reason. So 9 times out of 10, God has somebody who is trying, who needs to help you. And you might be that person for your child. So God is sitting up here looking at you like, okay, go and be a parent. I'm going to speak through you. Go and help your child. And you're not saying anything. God's just sitting back here like, you want them to come to me, but I'm speaking through you. What are you doing?
So, Morgan.
That's the thing. I'm going to just say this. Stop being lazy. Parents, stop being lazy when it comes to your kids. Because now that they're not a shiny baby anymore, you're sitting here and you're just like, well, now that they're all angsty and stuff like that. Okay, but the thing is, that's your kid.
And you leave them alone.
It doesn't matter.
Don't deal with them.
Exactly. You can't just ignore them. Because you're just like, oh, well, little Tommy, I didn't know what was going on with him. So much has happened, and just, I'm really sad that this has happened. And, little Tommy committed suicide. When he came to you, asking you for help. Go and, yes, understand that there are signs, but also understand that you need to go and take initiative as a parent. And also know that I know this might break a lot of parents' hearts.
Oh.
Okay?
Come on with it.
But a lot of stuff, going and talking to your child about teen suicide and about their mental health, you're going to have to go and take a look within yourself and ask yourself, was there anything that I did that caused this? Was there anything that I did that caused this harm? And it's that time to go and be selfless. And that's why often I'm like, generally parents who have been through trauma, because a lot of the older generation, especially the Black generation, they have been through so much trauma with everything. So I really do advise, if you have went through your own sort of trauma, go and seek help. Whether that be in scripture or in psychology, all this stuff, just seek help before you have a little human out into the world.
Yeah.
Make sure that you inside, like, don't just wait till you're financially stable, wait till you're emotionally stable as well.
Yeah, if we could only.
Come on,
So
sister.
That's probably more important than having the finances in order, honestly.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to get good finances without a good mental stability, without literally working yourself to the brim? Because I don't want to go and sit up here and think, like, have parents think that, oh yeah, like, she's coming after all of us. I'm like, no, please take care of yourselves first before taking, like, care of another person. But if you wouldn't have that child, so, like, that's why I'm saying to go and get help. Because when you have a kid, you're gonna have to be selfless a lot of times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're selfless all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're gonna have to be selfless because that, like, person that you created is sitting here and they're going through so much pain, and you're just like, I see a, like, smaller version of myself. I went through the same thing, but I never went and fully, like, resonated or took care of myself, so I don't know how to take care of them either.
Right. And I this is just really so eye-opening and so enlightening, because we have had young people on the show before, but I don't feel like really in a capacity like this. Like, you're dropping jewels, you are teaching right now, Morgan. And it is a message that so many people need to hear. You talking about you don't want to make people feel bad, and I hope that some people are looking in the mirror or taking down notes or something, because somebody that's going to view this is going to be able to say, oh wow, dang, I might need to start doing things a little bit differently. I might need to start talking to my kid more, asking the questions, being more present. So you don't know what you done just started, honey, but we about to have some young folks want to show more often to drop these jewels, because this is so important.
This is some.
Go ahead.
No, because this is something, like, so important to me, because I have seen so many, like, kids that just have felt so lost. And me, I have the therapist friend. Everybody, like, ever since I went into public school, even before then, like, my friends would just go and sit up here and talk to me. She's like, I feel so lost, and I don't feel like my parents talk to me. And me, I'm just sitting here like, yes, it's okay. Your emotions are valid, and you're fine, okay? And just having your emotions validated and just, like, being able to talk to people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm going into psychology. I've been doing this since I was a kid. Might as well keep on continuing for money. Look.
Absolutely. Do what you love and earn a paycheck while doing it. That is my motto.
Yes.
All right, y'all, we're going to move on a little bit down to, so we can talk about the book a little bit. So we're talking about how not to die from suicidal depression in chapter 12. And so, yes, before, I'm going to say it, I'm going to put this disclaimer out before the haters start to hate. Yes, this is all alluding to clean, whole, plant-based living again. You're about to hear it again, okay? This chapter is discussing how healthy food can have a powerful effect on mood. Now, this is important, y'all. This is important for us all, whether we're clinically diagnosed, self-diagnosed, walking around proud, saying that we good, whatever. We are hearing about a woman who says that she was clinically diagnosed with depression around the age of 10. So the short version is that she had terrible side effects from the medicine she was taking, but she was afraid not to take it at the same time. So going on fast forward in her life after marriage, divorce, and more depression, she winds up hearing the doctor speak at her church and decides to try a plant-based diet and has not had a further relapse. No thoughts of suicide or sleepless nights. So hearing a story like this, as well as some of the other health benefits of a plant-based diet, and in previous shows we've so far talked about heart disease and diabetes, I wonder why more people have not begun to incorporate this type of diet into their everyday lives. Like, if it's laid out there for you simple and plain, if you're seeing and hearing that these things are making people physically better, now mentally better, like, what, I don't know. What do y'all think? What is do they just feel like it's not going to taste good, or?
No, really, Kiara, it's a choice. It's a choice. Just like hypertension is a choice. Just like diabetes, it's a choice. Sometimes depression, suicide, it's not necessarily, I can't say a choice, depression is just something that just hits you.
Right.
But it grows into depression. It grows into suicide. And it could be, and I think what Dr. McGregor was trying to explain is that a lot of times when you're eating foods that are easily digestible in the body, you feel better. And I'm one that can tell you, I mean, I'm up, and this little girl knows, I'm up and she's letting the dogs out. I'm downstairs on that bike. I'm fully energetic. People don't know how I have so much energy at the age of 51. People don't understand, oh, your skin is so pretty. I'm like, yeah, I wash my face, but I'm like, I make sure that what I put into my skin, it shows on the outside of my body as well. Making sure that, I eat the right foods. I'm not feeling tired. I'm not feeling, sluggish. I feel light, to be honest with you. I'm not eating those foods that will block and clog my arteries, make my thinking more sluggish. I'm not eating those foods that's high in fat and saturated fats that's, just making me into like a more of a depressed mood. People say that eating food makes them happy. But after you eat the food, then...
Maybe for a little while, but ew.
Well, it does make you happy for a little while, but then you're sitting there and you're like, oh, God, I just put all this weight back on again. Now you're depressed about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think mostly what he was saying about that is that, it's okay to do it every now and then, but every then now of eating those wrong type foods. I mean, if you're eating them every day, and you're just constantly getting more and more hypertension, more and more diabetes, more and more weight gain, those things can bring about depression. They can make you think and feel bad about yourself, to where it's like, not saying that everybody have to be plant-based, but again, like I said, if you do it every now and then and try to eat more of the healthier foods, it can bring about a mood change in an individual. I mean, that was my way of thinking of what he was trying to say. Plant-based diet and depression, I really had to listen to him hard to understand how does that really connect. And as I listened, I was like, that kind of makes sense a little, but as I listen more, I'm like, yeah, it does make sense, but other things contribute to the depression as well. It's not that you just ate a cheeseburger and I'm depressed because I ate it. No, you ate the cheeseburger, but then again, you're trying to lose weight and then you're back into that depressed mood again. You're like, you know what, I might as well just give up. I'm just going to have another cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It's a cycle. You just put yourself more and more and more into depression. Oh, God, I shouldn't have this because I have high blood pressure, but geez, I really want it this time. And then you eat it and you go to the doctor and your pressure's even higher. So when the doctor giving you bad news, of course you're not going to be happy about that. You're going to be depressed about that. But if you're eating the right foods and you go to your doctor and your doctor says, what did you do? Oh my God, you lost like how much weight? And then here you go feeling from here. Did I? Oh my God, I made you. And now you're feeling better about yourself, and that depression that you had, it's no longer there.
Yeah.
So I think that food does play a major role into depression, to where people eat themselves to death.
Yeah.
And too, even reading that, I'm just thinking for myself, and y'all know, like, I'm not a pill person. I will sit here and have a headache for days before I take anything. And so just reading that alone, I'm like reading this small section and I'm like, wow, okay, if I was one who was on some type of medication for my mental health, looking at this, I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm like, hey, shoot, if I can change my diet even a little bit and be able to scale back from some of these things, why not? I mean, why not try it? What's the worst that can happen? It's my thought process.
Right.
So, that's why it's important that we bring these things to the forefront and we talk about these things, because before our show tonight, nobody probably even had any inkling of a clue that that's not to say that food is going to cure your disorder. Some people may have to still stay on the medicine. But if there's a chance that just simply incorporating more plant-based things into your diet can take you from 5 pills to 2, I mean, it's just not, to me, it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I think one of the things that
we're doing it. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jackie.
I would say, I think one of the things that has a lot to do with why people won't just take that leap of faith and, just incorporate, the healthier foods in their lifestyle is because they think that my mama did it, my grandmama did it, my daddy did, my auntie, my uncles, they ate like this. This is what I'm used to. If it was good enough for them 18 years ago, then why isn't it not good enough for me now? And I think that we have to take a look at how food is grown now, how food is, developed, and how they, how they feed the food, how they process the food. It's different. The environment is so much different. How much antibodies do they put into these foods to kill germs and disease or whatever? And do you not think that those antibodies are now going into you? What about the steroids? I don't know if you guys, anybody remember Church's Chicken? Church's Chicken from way back in. And the wings, they went from this big to like, they were humongous. Why do you think those chicken wings went from a normal average size to being one chicken wing or one chicken leg being the size of the plate?
That's what we call pigeon wings. Them ain't chicken.
Steroids. They were given steroids. And what are the steroids for? The steroids are to kill the germs and the bacteria or whatever, but it's still growing them. And so now what's happening? Our children are eating, the chicken and the dairy products that came from the chickens. Okay, the eggs, then now you have the asthma. And all of the kind, the cholesterol, the mucus, everything. And you wonder why our children don't look like children. Our children, I remember going when the children were in Kenwood. I remember going to school to take care of some kind of business at the high school when the boys were at Kenwood. And I go in and I'm walking around and the girls got more tatas and they are bigger than me.
That's still now. That's actually middle school. Like little Michelle, the kids look like that. Mm-hmm. They look like they get ready to ship off to college or something somewhere, and they're in 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Yes. But it's in the food that we are eating. It's in the food that we are feeding them. And listen, I'm not on here promoting organic, this, that, and the third, because every type of food has its own issues or whatever. But I am saying that I am a living testimony. I am a witness. I'm quiet. Y'all know I'm quiet about what I do in the background. But I feel like what I'm doing is between me and God. If you see me and you look at me and you say, oh, there's something different. Yeah, there's something different because I've been giving up red meat and pork and all that stuff. The only thing I was still holding on to was chicken. And I gave up chicken for Lent. And listen, I'm good, y'all. I am good. I'm not saying, don't clap yet, Shay. I'm not saying that I ain't never going to have chicken because I don't know. But what I am saying is that, yes, I feel better. I've been eating clean for a very long time now, and I feel better. My skin is better. Some of the pills that I was taking for my back, I don't take them. I say I'm not taking them, and I start taking them. I look for more, organic ways and more healthier ways to deal with, my pain. And, I find, when you learn that there's some things that you can't eat or that's not good for you and you stop eating them, you will find, yes, producer, I'm getting the gang signs in the back, y'all. You will find that you will physically and mentally, emotionally feel better. Yes, you do feel lighter. Yes, you do feel like you have more energy. And that has a lot to do with your mental. That has a lot to do with your mental.
Absolutely.
Well, we gonna before we bring this to a close, we gonna have to keep talking about, because I know that listen, we might have to be on this book the rest of the year, because we got some people that's acting up and they just can't act right for nothing. Somebody named Meshawn Noble said, "Does anybody have a recipe for a good burger?" So I'm gonna send him over to Shay's house to get a plant-based burger, is what he's about to have. And Richard said, "I gotta admit that in addition to women and money, food can be my ultimate weakness."
That's our Richard.
He said
women and money.
15 minutes trying to get them right. We ain't gonna give up on y'all.
No, we're not.
Sean has it's been a little over 6 months for him with the no meat, so he's a work in progress, but baby steps. But he's determined to get back to that chicken, y'all. So pray my strength, because I'm not letting him do it.
That's all of the brother. He can come over and eat it over here anytime he wants.
Absolutely. All right, you want to give the numbers to see?
Yes, I do. So we do have some support help that we want to make sure that everybody has this information. And I'm going to do my best to copy and paste it into one of the comments. But the support numbers and resources for the National Institute of Mental Health, the phone number is 800-662-4357. Then there's the National Alliance on Mental Health name helpline. The helpline is 800-950-624. And we have the Maryland Crisis Hotline, 844-549-4266. And then there is the National Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-8255. Now, I'm not going to just stop there, because, Victory Talk is associated and affiliated with Victorious Living Faith Ministries. And we have a very hands-on pastor. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the phone number to the church. And I'm going to give you the phone number to directly to Pastor Phil. So the phone number for BLF is 443-842-5966. And there is always somebody answering that phone. I don't care what time you call it, somebody's going to answer that phone. And then Pastor Phil's phone number is 443-740-5906. If you get into a stuck place, and if you get into a stuck place and you don't know nowhere else to turn to, and you feel like you're not being heard, I don't care how old you are, you feel like you're not being heard or understood, and you just need somebody to lend an ear or to help you find some direction, call one of us. Call one of us. If you feel like you can't get to none of those other numbers, please give us a call. We do not want to see anybody go down that rabbit hole. So that is what we have for tonight's show. Shay, before we close out, you have anything you want to add?
I just wanted to say that mental stability is so important, and you can't do anything else without it. You can't do any type of physical activity, nothing. I guess what I'm saying is that we have to take care of our mental. Mm-hmm. We don't think about things. We don't deal with things. We just brush them off. And my daughter, she is one that can vouch and say that, I don't always deal with things. I put it all into a machine. I get on a bike, I'll run, I'll release. And, I can't say that sometimes when I do that, I do feel better, but the problem is still there. But exercise helps me to think clearly. You know, I'm so bogged down and fogged up. I'm like, when I put my energy into a machine, I'm on the machine, not just exercising, but I'm on that machine and I'm thinking. Like sometimes when I used to run, you guys see me run first thing in the morning. I would run first thing in the morning because I would love to see the sun come up. That was my way of saying that God was telling me, "Good morning, gorgeous." He was saying good morning to me. And I would see the sun come up and then I'll just start talking to him. I mean, the conversation, it just goes.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done running, the problem that I had, I will say, this is how you're going to deal with it. So I am one to where I would always just not deal with my problems mentally. I would just brush them off. But being around this one here, you know, and teaching her that it's okay to talk about it, I had to teach myself that it's okay to talk about it. So me being able to express myself outward to her, to my husband, you know, to certain family members, you know, I feel better about myself. And then again, like I said, when I do get on those machines and I exercise, it, like I said, it helps me to think clearly. So again, you can't do one without the other. You have to have that mental stability.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yes. Morgan, do you have anything you want to close out on?
I mean, nothing much. I just want to go and say that helping people, it's not going to be easy. And you have to go and be willing to go and put in that initiative and that work into helping people. Because in the end of the day, this help, like you trying to help somebody else, it's not about you. It's not. It's about making this person feel better. So whether they go and confide in you or they feel like better like talking to like psychologists, or if they go and feel better talking to God, as long as you know that that person is getting help, you can go and be there for them.
Yeah.
Go and support them through that journey of talking to God, talking to that psychologist. Because that's what they feel as if they need.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. If I talk about like other stuff, then we're gonna be here all night and the parents are gonna get mad at me, so.
I'm not worried about the parents. What I'm worried about is our producer in the back with the gang signs and
Hi, producer.
That's kind of
she said, "Hi, Pastor Phil." He said, "Anything from you, Key, before we say goodnight, sis?"
No, I'm good. Just thank y'all for tuning in, and like, share, subscribe to our page. Go to YouTube Victory Talk Show on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them. Follow us. Share, because all jokes aside, this is something for everybody. Every single show that we do, and I know it's lady hosts, so that's what you see. But every single show that we do is for somebody, male, female, young, old, and everybody that falls in between.
Yes. All right, everybody. We thank you for joining us tonight. It has been a very interesting topic. We want to thank our special guest, as always, our Fit for Life guru, Shay Brown. But it's just amazing and just an awesome experience to have Morgan with us. And so we just thank you, Morgan. I'm just so excited for what God is going to do with you and how he's going to use you to be a blessing to others beyond what you're already doing now, because it sounds as if now that you are already operating in your psychiatrist role. So congratulations, and continue to go forth and press and continue to make God and your parents and us in the background super duper proud. So thank you everybody for joining in tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week. It will be our marriage edition. It is going to be an interesting topic again, as always. So like, share, and subscribe. We love you to life, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.